In the penultimate chapter of their book, the authors of How Learning Works discuss how student development and course climate impact learning. While instructors cannot control their students' developmental process, they can seek to better understand it. Furthermore, instructors have an ability to shape their course climate in a manner that best supports students' development. The main principle of this chapter is this: students' current level of development interacts with the social, emotional, and intellectual climate of the course to impact learning. While a great deal of research exists related to student development, the authors of How Learning Works focus on two particular elements of student development: intellectual and social identity development. Regarding intellectual development, an early model from Perry suggests that students grow from reasoning based on simple duality, something is either right or wrong, there is no in-between, to eventually realizing and understanding that most problems involve nuance, complexity, and require multiple perspectives to consider before settling upon a conclusion. Students' intellectual growth is often a function of some challenge that reveals inadequacies with their current intellectual stage. Subsequent research has expanded upon Perry's suggested sequence, such as work done by Baxter and Golda, which identifies gender differences in how men and women express their knowledge to peers. One example is that males in the duality stage will often prefer to engage in a game that displays their knowledge in front of their peers. Conversely, research suggests that females often seek to share their knowledge as a means to help others. Most research generally agrees that intellectual development takes time and cannot be forced. Also, without effective challenges, learners may not necessarily move through every stage of intellectual development. Accordingly, providing appropriate challenges can help nurture intellectual development, especially among still emerging learners, such as medical students. Juxtaposed with intellectual development is social identity development. That is how students see themselves as an individual and as part of society. Like intellectual development, there are various stages of social identity development, not all of which every student will experience. What is important for educators to be aware of is that even though we may not see our classrooms or content as culturally sensitive, at least to ourselves, students cannot simply check their social identities at the door. Furthermore, students cannot magically transcend whatever stage of social identity they are currently residing within. Therefore, it is important that educators utilize pedagogical strategies that reflect an understanding of social identity development as a means to anticipate tensions that may arise around certain topics that might be discussed. Unlike student development, course climate is something that instructors do have control over. The authors of How Learning Works describe a continuum of course climate types, ranging from explicitly marginalizing through explicitly centralizing, with implicitly marginalizing and implicitly centralizing in between. The authors also outline 4 areas of climate in courses. Those include stereotypes, tone, faculty-student and student-student interactions, as well as content. Students experience course climate in both blatant and subtle ways, and the ways in which students experience the course climate impact their learning. As stated at the beginning of their chapter, and in this video, course climate and student development interact in unique ways, which in turn create unique learning experiences for each student in your course. While we cannot explicitly control student development, and addressing course climate can seem overwhelming, research does provide several strategies. Here are a couple to consider. First, find ways to make uncertainty safe. Validate different viewpoints, even unpopular ones. Remind students that consensus is not usually the goal of dialogue. Rather, it is a means to enrich everyone's thinking and understanding of a topic. Another strategy is to model inclusive language, behavior, and attitudes. Use a variety of pronouns when speaking, and explain any idioms or anecdotes you may use as a means to be inclusive for non-native speakers. There are, of course, other strategies you can use as well. These are linked in the description below. Next month, we get into the final chapter from How Learning Works, which focuses on how to help students become self-directed learners.